Alrighty, JDs and Lenelman. So, if you haven't heard, Jamal Hill was set to face Khalil Rountree at UFC Kansas City. The card right after fuck, what UFC card are we on right now? 314, guys. Alexander Volkanovski, right after it was supposed to be Jamal Hill versus Khalil Rountree, and even on Google, they still have it listed as that because Google's dog shit, and, multi-billion-dollar company can't keep their headlines straight. But, yeah, so, this fight got canceled, if you haven't heard. Jamal Hill has pulled out. It's not like, I don't think there's a lot of statements out yet from all the parties on why he's out, on his team and everything. I think he mentioned that he was pulling out. Khalil Rountree has mentioned the fight is being postponed, so until then we're just kind of waiting on a date for this fight. And obviously Ian the Cuck Machado Gary, if you haven't heard, he's showing up on 3 weeks notice, almost 4 weeks. I think it'd be 4 weeks, right? Yeah, like 3-4 weeks notice to fight Carlos Prates, a month notice to fight Carlos Prates. The Aura King of the Four Horsemen of the Fighting Nerds, fucking Carlos Prates. But, yeah. So, that fight's happening. Jamal Hill, seems like it's an injury. Seems like, it's not like a sickness thing. It seems like it's some sort of injury. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's not good, going into the next fight with an injury. Now, it depends on the injury, of course. If we're talking like an ACL tear, that might be rough, How far is the fight gonna be? Are we looking at an October date now? But I'll be honest and I'll keep it a buck. Yeah, I think this is fucking good for Jamal Hill. Like, okay, I get it. It's bad because he pulled out of the fight. I get it 100%, alright? But if he is injured, I do think he needs more time off. Jamal Hill's last fight was this year in January against Yuri. That fight was fucking insane. Could even win Fight of the Year contender. In my opinion, it might actually win Fight of the Year contender. It'd be like listed there. That fight was insane. Yuri getting wobbled back and forth. Jamal Hill getting dropped early in round 1 and then making a fairly decent comeback. Winning round 2 and then round 3. It's just a battle between the two, and then Jamal gets caught. Oh man, it was actually a sick fight. Now, what I will say, I think that whooping, I love Jamal Hill. I also like Yuri. But it was not a great look in terms of everything he was promoting, I got caught. You got dominated by Pereira. You got fucking dominated, alright? Man, the trash talk was epic. Jamal Hill couldn't pull through. Now, I don't think Jamal Hill is shit by any means. That war with Yuri is actually, like, really good. Yuri's still young. I think Yuri right now is 31. Entering prime age right now, Yuri Prohaska. Could win the trilogy with Pereira. Who knows? But, yeah, I think this is really, really good for Jamal Hill, actually. Pulling out of the fight, because, we're looking at January, March, April, May. January, February, March, April, May. A 5-month turnaround after that. Getting dropped, I think it was 3 times in the whole fight total, including the finishing dropping. I don't like a 5-month turnaround after that, That's almost like the same sort of situation with Volk turning around 3 months after getting knocked out. A little bit different. Volk got flatline KO'd via head kick on a short notice. But this is up there with, like, that sort of level. Jamal Hill's not like a spring chicken, but 33 is not a bad age for MMA. He's still top level. The Glover Teixeira fight was also insane. He's got crazy finishes on Johnny Walker and Jimmy Crute, 2 bums, but, he finished the bums he should be finishing. And I think I'm still going to pick Jamal Hill. Now, it depends. We see staph infection, all this other shit, right? Might be changing the pick, but, ACL tear, Achilles heels probably still snapped, stuff like that. If we see that in the build-up, or he pulled out because his Achilles popped out again or some shit, playing basketball, what are we doing? But, I respect it. kind of. You know, taking a young buck, or not young buck, a contender in Khalil Rountree. You know, not sitting around being like, oh, I only want fucking #1 contender fights, like certain people are in certain divisions. Dustin Poirier, I'm looking at you, but you know, Michael Chandler calling for the champion on a 3-loss streak. Yeah, bro, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I respect Jamahal Hill for taking a fight like Khalil Rountree, and I get it. He's coming off 2 losses, and I get it. This is looking like an injury he's pulling out of a fight for. I think I'm still picking Jamahal Hill over Khalil Rountree. Now, if this fight was to take place, I'd probably give, like, maybe Khalil the edge. I'd say it's like 60-40. I'd make it like -150 Khalil, only because... And here's the thing about Khalil, alright, guys? If you know my channel, been around for a little bit, you know I fucking hate this guy. I respect him because he's Muay Thai. I'm a Muay Thai guy. I love the Muay Thai shit, but I fucking hate this guy, alright? This guy's one of the most overrated fighters I think I've ever seen. Genuinely, one of the most overrated fighters I've ever seen. You know, I've only been in the sport for about, approaching 4 years now, as a fan, and I've watched every single event since I started since those 4 years. Or almost 4 years ago. But, man, this guy's fucking overrated as shit. You know, we're looking at his 5-fight win streak, guys, alright? He's lost to Marcin Prachnio. You don't know who that is because you only watch main events? You know, don't get it twisted. Marcin Prachnio fucking sucks. Like ass. Especially, like, back then. Dog shit. This was not, like, a champion guy. You know? Jan Kutalaba in 2019. Johnny Walker finished this guy. And that was young Khalil Rountree. This guy's 35 now. Just turned 35 to be fair, but 35, you know? Jamahal Hill's the younger fighter. He's going to be 34 to be fair, but he's the younger fighter in this fight. And I feel like a lot of people are forgetting that because I see so many Khalil Rountree glazers like, oh yeah, Khalil Rountree's going to dominate him. He's going to finish him, blah, 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 blah. And listen, Khalil's path to victory is to find that finish, right? But when we look at his wins, like, bro, Modestas Bukkakis, you know? Modestas Bukkake, that's what we're rating this guy on. Carl Robertson, come on, brother, you know? And then we look at Dustin Jacoby on a 3-fight win streak. You know, 3-fight win streak, his last one being Dustin Jacoby. Whoa, that was a fucking robbery. I thought Dustin Jacoby won that one. This was literally, like, around the time I started watching the sport, you know? Like, I don't like that, you know? Anyways... you know, Chris Daukaus, like, are we really rating these guys? And his best win, alright? Say what you want about Glover Teixeira, okay, being 44 years old at the time. Say what you want about Thiago Santos no longer being around. Say what you want about Johnny Walker being overrated, you know, at least he was going to be something at one point, you know? Say what you want about Jimmy Crute sucking ass, you know? The great Paul Craig. The great Ovin St. Peru, who fraud-checked fucking Kennedy Nzechukwu last year, alright? Say what you want about these guys. There's still good quality wins. Like, Glover, for the belt, is at least, like, you could rate Glover a top... Like, if the Glover that Jamahal Hill fought competed right now and was still fighting, he'd still be, like, in the Jan Blachowicz tier. You know what I mean? Like, top 5, we're looking at top 7. Khalil Rountree's best fucking win is Anthony Smith on, I think it was 1 week's or it might have been 2 weeks notice. Maybe 2 weeks notice, Anthony Smith. You know? And, you know, you could argue that's the most dangerous Smith. You know, the short notice Smith is the one to be reckoned with. But Porky the Pig here showed up fucking flabby as shit. Probably the flabbiest we've ever seen him. And he gets knocked out in round 2, to be fair, and then also in round 3. You know, if you don't know what I'm referring to, I swear to God, I've never seen a fighter get knocked out twice in a fight. That's a lie. There's actually been a lot of fights where you see a fighter flatline and they wake up, and then they, you know, get back to it, and then they flatline and they wake up, ref's not stopping the fight. It's happened before, but yeah, Anthony Smith was one of the first, I think, live fights, I guess I'll say, where I thought he got knocked out. Ref didn't call it. And then he got knocked out again, you know, immediately after, in round 3. But, yeah, Anthony Smith looked like shit. It wasn't close. We get that. But that's his best win, okay? I get it if you want to argue, you know, oh, well, he had a lot of success against Pereira. not really aging well now, are we? You know, Ankalaev beat Pereira. All right, guys. So we all know Ankalaev fucking sucks. You know, Paul Craig beat his ass. Let's not forget. All right, but you know, triangled his ass, by the way. You know, Magomedov, eh? Even though it's Magomed, but you know, I'll add the ov because he's Russian. Okay, getting fucking submitted, eh? Embarrassing. Anyways. Yeah, his best win's Anthony Smith. Like, I don't understand how people are still glazing this guy. Listen, Pereira also at the time, you can call it cope, I guess, if you want. But Pereira also, he was about to pull out the day before because of how sick he was. He was on antibiotics affecting his cardio, and he was still able to beat him in the 4th round. He, I think, was still dealing with that toe problem, so he effectively had 1 foot that fight. And then also, like, it's Pereira. That was like his, what, 4th title defense within a year? You know? That was like, that was the weakest Pereira you could probably face. And Khalil in the build-up? Oh, not sure if I'm going to show it, guys, but I've got a plan. What? To go in there in round 1 and 2 and try to knock his head off? That's what he does in every single fight. He always gasses in the 3rd. Every single time. Brother, if you watch that fight live, or back, or whatever, you can tell in the 3rd round, Khalil was fucked. It wasn't like round 1, okay, you give to Khalil, but it was pretty close, to be fair. Round 2, I think, is where Pereira got dropped. Could have been off balance. It definitely, like, was a landed shot. I wouldn't really say it, like, wobbled Pereira, though. Especially considering Magomed wobbled Pereira worse than anything Khalil did in the whole fight. In round 2, like, Ankalaev wobbled Pereira really, really bad in round 2. Give that round an extra 5 seconds, and Pereira's probably slept in round 2 against Ankalaev. Where Khalil Rountree wobbled him in the 2nd. I believe it was the 2nd. Could have been the 1st, but I believe it was the 2nd. After Pereira went for a spinning wheel kick out of nowhere, which is something he never does. Gets caught. But he, like, got stung. That wasn't, like, wobbled Pereira. Like, I don't understand these guys glazing the fuck out of Khalil Rountree. That was an open Pereira doing something really stupid. Khalil catches him pretty much clean on the chin. And it was like a stinging shot. It didn't even fucking wobble him. Like, when I say wobble, I'm talking like Adesanya fucking, what was it, round 3? I think against Pereira. I'm talking Ankalaev round 2 against Pereira, you know? I'm talking like when fucking Adesanya flatlined Pereira, you know? I'm talking those wobbles. We've seen Pereira finished. He wasn't, like, hurt that bad in the Khalil Rountree fight, just being honest, you know? There was no visible damage on Pereira either. He looked fine. And at the end of the day, all Khalil Rountree is, in every single fight, and, oh man, I'll mention it after, but in every single fight, he is explosive in the first 2, unless you're just standing in front of him doing nothing. Smith did nothing. His best win did nothing. So Khalil was able to just, like, kind of sit back on the back foot and just wait until he could get the counter-striking or go on an open Smith who's 45 fucking years old and Porky the Pig looking ass, you know? Showed up flabby as fuck. Looked like he could have probably made lightweight if he actually tried to cut weight that night. But, yeah, you know? And then Dustin Jacoby. I love Dustin Jacoby. Like, I love the fact that he slept Vitor Petrino. I made that prediction. If you're looking for picks and predictions, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I post weekly content, a couple videos a week, including fight night predictions and card predictions and breakdowns every single week for every single event. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Shameless plug over. Now, I love Dustin Jacoby. I predicted a lot of his fights correctly. I think he got robbed on this fight. I didn't predict this fight. This was during an era where I wasn't predicting. I was sort of just observing, you know? How you get as, like, a fan when you're watching, like, teams and shit. Maybe you watch soccer or something like that. And, you know, you don't really know the team, so you're just watching them play. That's kind of how this was. I thought Jacoby won. I think you can go back and watch that fight and make a good argument Jacoby won. Jacoby does not have a good chin. I think he did get dropped, and that's why you can argue some rounds. If Khalil can't finish Dustin Jacoby, a guy who's been slumped out cold by pillow hands, you know, Dominic Reyes and the like, right? There's no shot Khalil Rountree, even full force 100%. I don't give a fuck how much he's improved as a cult follower fighter. You know? I don't give a fuck about that. There's no shot this guy's flatlining Jamal. Like, it's not happening. He could hurt Jamal. He could wobble Jamal. But he's not doing what Yuri did to Jamal. Yuri's a wild dude. He's going in and out, you know. Jamal's very good at the basics. And Khalil kind of just does generic shit. You know? He's very, like, Josh Emmett-esque. Where it's just like, oh, I have an opening? Alright, overhand right. Most telegraphed shit you've ever seen. That's why even Pereira on antibiotics, basically meaning it's affecting his cardio, if you're a little confused why I'm bringing it up. But even Pereira on antibiotics, being 37 years old, is able to just fucking matrix that shit, because he can see it, you know? And Jamahal Hill might not have the best head movement, because he stands a lot like the Brian Battle, who else stands like it? Maybe like a Sean Woodson, but like that's a little bit more niche, because that guy's a xenomorph. But he stands very tall, and he stands very, like, not move head, just block shots, you know? He's got a head movement here and there. But he definitely gassed out in the third against Yuri, and that's where the sloppy technique went over. He went for a hook, you know, missed the hook, got caught while his hands were down, you know. He was a little unlocked right there. But that was his first fight, you know. I know he fought Pereira, right? He definitely fought Pereira, but that was his first, like, fight since early 2023, you know, basically 2022, so you can, that was his first fight in almost 3 years, to be fair, right? That's not, well, 2 years, I guess. Yeah, that'd be like 2 years. You know, first fight in 2 years, coming off an injury. That's not a bad showcase of a warrior, you know? We've seen Jamal go to the 5th. We've seen Jamal, you know, fucking put a good pace on people. Even a Glover Teixeira. Like, Glover would probably beat Khalil right now. Like, can we be honest, man? This guy fucking sucks, you know? And Yuri, at least there's danger of shit, you know? That straight right hand down the pipe, dangerous. That hook that he throws, dangerous. The head movement of just dodging shit and just fucking throwing shit immediately after because his hands are always down, dangerous. His wheel kicks, his body kicks, his leg kicks, dangerous. He can even thread a takedown if he really wanted to. You know, you're obviously not expecting Yuri to really shoot a takedown, but it's there. You know, it's always going to be like, oh, you might shoot a takedown. Khalil's not shooting a fucking takedown, so this is only going to be a stand-up fight unless Jamahal Hill wants to take him down. And to be honest, Jamahal Hill, a little bit of a Twitter warrior. I respect it, because he's, you know, he's making himself a nice personality for himself here, you know? I respect it. He's a big dude as well. Khalil's not that big. Bro, Jamahal Hill's gonna fucking mug Khalil, man. I think Khalil's a little taller than 6'1". He's probably, like, closer to 6'3", to be fair, but I can't understand this Khalil glaze. If Jamahal Hill genuinely opens up as an underdog, guys, that's good fucking value, alright? I don't gamble on fights most of the time, but I would say that's some good fucking value if Jamahal Hill is an underdog. I might even put ooh, you know? Let's not get ahead of myself. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, I can't understand how these people are saying, like, Khalil Rountree is going to put a whooping on Jamal. Like, I really, really don't get it, you know? Khalil Rountree's best win is Anthony Smith, who's now fucking about to retire, you know? Before that, Chris Daukaus. Exactly, you know? It's just, I can't understand these people who just think Khalil Rountree is going to masterclass Jamal. You know, I think round 1, Khalil's going to be live, right? He's going to be live for knocking down Jamahal Hill. I don't think he's going to get a flatline. I don't think that's in his arsenal anymore, you know? Khalil's not young. He's not this young guy who's been fucking practicing for 20 years in Muay Thai. You know, he recently discovered Muay Thai after being a former fat kid. Hey, respect, I'm a former fat kid. Still a little chunky myself, but you know. So a little, you know, gotta get to the gym every now and again, but you know, I don't even hate Khalil Rountree, right? I just hate the people who glaze Khalil Rountree, and I also don't like the fact that he's like in this cult and he's like kind of on the spectrum, if you will. But and he cries in every fight, you know, but, yeah, I do think Khalil's also dumb. He's got no game plan. I don't think he's gonna have a game plan for Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill's really good at the basics. As long as Jamahal Hill knows to just react to that overhand right that is going to get thrown by Khalil. You know, Khalil, if he was smart, he'd fight to the body. And to be fair, Jamahal Hill kind of got built like that incel chin. No offense, all right? Please don't KO me in public, Jamahal Hill. But, you know, you do got a little tuck chin, just saying. All right? You don't have you know, just saying. You know, you don't have the jawline really, but you know, he's a little tubby on the stomach, but maybe that helps absorbing the body shots. But yeah, Jamahal Hill I think is still good. I think Jamahal Hill is gonna beat Khalil Rountree, and I think he's probably gonna do it in the third. I think he will just fucking. I think we will genuinely see Jamahal Hill put on like Pereira round 4 performance on Rountree just in round 3. You know, I can see Jamahal Hill running in. If I was Jamahal Hill, game plan, survive round 1, whoop start like making it a little bit more competitive in round 2. All right, maybe not try to whoop Khalil Rountree's ass in round 2, and then just pour it on him in the third and just whoop his ass like bell to bell. You know, I don't think it'll be close in round 3. I think Jamahal Hill's gonna fucking, you know, he might have got dropped in round 1. Like, it'll be a situation where it's like, oh, you know, Khalil got round 1 because of the drop, you know, but round 2, Jamal pulled back. Oh, but this is the same narrative that happened in the Yuri fight, you know, and Jamahal Hill's just gonna fucking whoop Khalil Rountree's ass. Khalil is also very weak to body shots, and I think that's something we learned in the Pereira fight. He keeps a very high guard, and I know it's so he can set up those right hands, but, yeah, I don't care what Khalil showcases. I'm going Jamahal Hill, unless I see Jamahal Hill with staph infection, or his Achilles tears, or his fucking, rib cage was shattered the night before, like shit like that, food poison, shit like that. Unless I see some sort of signs like that, I'm going Jamahal Hill. I'm going Jamahal Hill round 3 KO. It's not going to be a 5-rounder. If it was a 5-rounder, listen, if this fight was going to happen, I would have still placed Khalil Rountree minus 150, you know, and Jamahal Hill like plus 105 or whatever you would give it. Only because of the finishing potential in round 1, and Jamahal Hill is coming off a lot of damage. Like, Yuri did put a whooping on Jamal, but Jamal threw back, you know? He wasn't a victim in that fight. Definitely threw back, but, yeah, now I know this fight is taking place probably another month, 2 months, 3 months. The longer, like, I'm looking like an 8 months, so what would that be? Like, May, June, July, August. Yeah, like, July, August. If we're looking at a July, August fight date, I'm, like, full sending Jamahal Hill 100%, you know? I respect the dude. I like how he's trying to make a personality, make it interesting. And he's not fucking, he doesn't have somebody else operating his Twitter. Magomed Ankalaev, just saying. You know, he'll still talk shit even though he loses. You know, you gotta respect the personality sometimes. I know we clown on him. I know it's like you know, a moment where it's like Conor McGregor talking shit, gets his leg broken by Dustin Poirier. Your wife is in me DMs, you know, brother, your leg's broken, shut the fuck up, you know. Yeah, I respect the fuck out of both fighters, to be fair. I don't hate Khalil Rountree. I hate Khalil Rountree fans, I think is the way to put it. Now, there's a lot of things about Khalil that are a little weird and a little like, ugh, brother, why, you know? But, yeah, I respect Jamahal Hill. I think he gets it done round 3. I think it's just easy work for Jamal, to be honest. I think this is almost like a perfect matchup in terms of how to get Jamahal Hill to showcase that he's still top level, you know, because there's still a chance, you know, maybe he gets knocked out in round 1 or whatever. I'm not going to blindly say that it's impossible for Jamahal Hill to lose, but I just can't see it, you know, I really just can't see it, you know, so it is what it is. I'm going Jamahal Hill round 3. I think this is really good that the fight got delayed. It gives Jamahal Hill a little bit more recovery time in terms of the brain, in terms of the skin damage. You know, hopefully none of that scar tissue shows up. Because he has been getting cut in a lot of fights. Not like cut from the UFC. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like actually cut. Especially near the face. Like forehead, eyeball, shit like that. Like eyebrow. To be fair, Khalil Rountree has. And that's another reason why I'd pick Jamahal Hill. You know, scar tissue on Khalil. Not good. He's getting older, man. I don't get it. I just don't get how people are so high on this guy. Like, Dustin Jacoby in a robbery, so technically a 2-fight, not even a 2-fight win streak, man. A 1-fight win streak to get Anthony Smith, KO's Anthony Smith, and gets a title shot. Like, what era are we living in? Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to get my thoughts and opinions on this fight, because I'm a big Jamahal Hill fan, alright? You know, I said it. You know, he might be a Twitter warrior, but he's my Twitter warrior. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, I'm a fan of him. You know, I like how he's real. I like how he's he says it as it is. You know, based this case with family. Just saying, now that he's been a little bit more open, you know, I respect that shit. You know, you gotta stand on business when you gotta stand on business. I respect it. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. That's my thoughts and opinions on the fight. Everything going on with that. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have, jawline check, a good day.